Hi fellas, Nige back here again with another build, and this time we're going to be looking at Tamiya's F-14 Tomcat in 148 flavour. And as with any aircraft build, this starts with the cockpit, and as you can see me here, I am removing the sprues, the parts from the sprues, with a bigger set of snips. And then I'm going to come back with some single bladed snips to get those nubs off and get them a lot closer. This is a new thing I've started looking at doing, see if I can get a little bit closer so I don't damage the part, and then I can come with a file or a sanding stick or sanding sponge or whatever you want to call it, and just take those nubs all the way down. So hopefully it'll give me a really nice fit when everything comes to putting it all together. Then I'm just scraping a little bit off with the knife just to get it a little bit further down, and then cracking on with the rest of it. So got to be really careful here. Okay, so this is the control stick, and this is where these snips come into their own, because they can get really close without damaging the part. And then all I've got to do is just scrape clean all the seams really carefully to make sure there's no mold line, and then gently, ever so gently, just filing and sanding, scraping wherever needed to make sure I get a good joint or good part. So once all the parts are off, I can then start looking at priming, and I've started using this aqueous surface primer, which, to be fair, it's brilliant. It's really good. It's the only primer that I feel confident in using that's not coming out of a rattle can. I've tried Vallejo, I've tried Badger, and all those sort of stuff, and with being the type they are, I have had problems where the primer has peeled no matter how well I clean it, or it doesn't sand very well. So when this came out with being acrylic, I thought I'd give it a go, and yeah, I really like it. So this is thinned with just normal IPA water sort of general thinner. It can be thinned with Mr. Surfacer or the aqueous one as well, which is, I think it's 400. And yeah, it's an absolutely brilliant primer. It really bites really well, so I highly recommend it. Now I've primed it, I can move on to doing the colours, and this is just the cockpit colour that I'm putting on now. I've not done any shadows or anything like that, because a lot of this I will pick out with a pin wash and stuff like that to help create the shadows. Now for something a little bit different for me, I'm going to start adding some shadows with some oils to these the cushions from the seat. So I've just got a really light colour there, and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it to the high bits, and then get a flat brush with a little bit of thinner, not a lot, and then just start blending it in. And this is just going to hopefully add some artificial light in there. I mean, you want to try and add highlights and shadows in there just to make it come more alive, and that's what I'm trying to do. So you can just see I'm just dabbing that oil paint in, keeping it to the top and the edge of the actual seat, and I keep going back, just adding a little bit more to give me a little bit more pronounced shade on there. Okay, and this oil paint, it goes a long way, but don't be afraid to use it. If I didn't like this, I could just get the thinner and just totally take it all off. So there we've got some highlights, And now we're going for the low lights, so just some smoke there, and I'll just put it inside the crease there, and just as you can see, just blending it all in to give me a shadow in there. You know, just a little bit of an artificial shadow there. And next up, we're going to start looking at the actual buttons and the controls and what have you in the cockpit. And I will do this my normal way. I just get some rollerball pens, many different colours, uniball I think they are, and just basically dot them on where there's a raised part. It gives me quite a lot of control, and if I don't like it, I can actually wipe it off and then you can see it. So I'm just going to go through and do the whole lot with the different colours, whites, reds, yellows, silver, you know, whatever I feel it is, with some of the actual reference photos I've got. And sometimes it's a little bit of you know, artistic license to see what's what. Once all that's done, I then can move on to start doing some blending and some shadows and what have you on the coning, because this is all fabric, so I'm just trying to make it look like fabric. I've actually lost some of this recording, so I treat this the same as I would treat the seats, with some highlights and low lights, just to help, you know, fetch it out a bit more. Once that's dabbed on, I'm then going to get my brush and I'm going to blend it all in again. This one's a dry brush, so I'm just blending it all in, and then I will start to blend it in a bit more with some IPA and stuff like that. Not IPA. I'm now doing some dry brushing, so I'm just loading up a proper dry brush, and then I'm getting rid of most of that paint, and then just pouring it all on the raised areas, just to make them stand out a bit more, to give the seat some depth and make it look solid. And to do this dry brushing, I'm just using a random grey colour. It could be a darker or a lighter, it depends on what you're actually going for. I'm trying to make it just a little bit darker, so I don't want it to pop really too much. Next up, we start adding a wash to all the different parts to help, you know, fetch out the instrument panels, the recesses, and these are all just oil paint with odorless thinners in there, and I'll just, you know, dop it here and there, run into all the nooks and crannies of the cockpit, just to, you know, to make them stand out a bit more. And then on the black bits, the controls and what have you, I'm just going to use a faded grey to help pick out that there's, you know, the separation between the different panels. Hopefully that again will help add a little bit of depth to the actual cockpit. Then we a damp cotton board, Q-tip, whatever you want to call it, with some odorless thinner. I always dip it into the thinner and then try and remove as much as I can. And then we're just going to remove the most of that oil work, that pin wash that we're just getting. Again, you know, hopefully leaving it all in the crevice and all that sort of stuff. And hopefully we will end up with that detail being picked out. And I should say that before I did the pin wash, I gave everything a nice acrylic gloss coat, okay, because that'll help the oil paints flow, and we're protecting all the paintwork and all that hard work we've done beforehand on everything. Next up, some pigments. Bear in mind that these go a long way, so you don't want to be pouring loads in there. You know, you only need a little bit, and they will, you know, it will go everywhere. So I'm just trying to get it right into the corners of the cockpit floor, because obviously that's going to be the hardest place to get any sort of crap out of there. So next up, again, it's all about adding a little bit of depth and realism. So we're just using a silver watercolor pencil and an actual pencil just to add scrapes and scratches into the cockpit floor. I'm not going mad because you won't really see a lot of it in there. I just want to add some in there, because that's where obviously the pilot and the co-pilot's navigator, observer, whatever you want to call him in these aircraft, boot's going to be. And then I can just blend it in a little bit with a brush. Then we can start again adding to the edges of the cockpit, the seats, and this will help add again depth and realism. So on the edges we can pick out to make them seemingly chipped with the pencil and with the watercolor pencil. And again, with both these techniques, if I wanted to remove it, I just gotta go in there with a wet paintbrush or a wet Q-tip, and I can remove what I don't like. So next up is some harnesses. So the kit doesn't come with harnesses, and I tried to put the decal ones onto some foil, but it didn't quite work. So I will try that again in the future. But my normal practice with this is to get my nice sharp knife on a tile and just cut it as close as I can, and then pressing it in. Try and get rid of all the end bits and all the tabs and stuff like that. Next up is trying to bend them in the right place and file them if need be to get rid of the tabs. So I use this pair of flat pliers just to line up and file them off to try and get them nice and close as I can to where they want to go. And now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to glue them, I'm going to bend them into place. So hopefully they look right before I glue them. So once they're bent into place, I can now look at them and I can see where they're going, and hopefully make them more realistic. So I'm doing it before I actually glue them, so hopefully I get a better result. It doesn't always work, but hopefully this time it will do. So there it is, the cockpit all completed. Yes, I missed some out, but I thought I'd record it when I hadn't. But I hope you agreed that it's turned out not too bad. I'm quite happy with it, and hopefully it'll be on to putting the rest of it together. So I will see you on the next one, guys. Bye for now. Hi everybody, so back on the F-14, I'm going to look at painting the undercarriage bays and some of the weapons. So we're going to start off with putting a white on the undercarriage. This is the nose, and this attaches to the bottom of the cockpit, that's why you can see it in the back there. So I'm just spraying white all over the place, just to give it, it's the right colour. Then I can work on adding some more details once this is all painted. So yeah, you can just see me spraying all the white there. Don't know why I sprayed that white, because that needs to be silver, but hey ho. We've got the actual undercarriage legs there and some of the other undercarriage bulkheads. Once everything's painted white, I can start now by doing a wash. So this is just a homebrew wash with some low odour solvent thinner, some Abtai Starship filth in a bottle, just mixed together so it's a running consistency. Now I can start highlighting all those parts. The actual paint would have been protected with a gloss coat, and I just used the Winsor & Newton Galliera gloss and matte varnish. It's really good stuff. I just paint it using my Neo through a 0.3 airbrush, and I just paint it neat. It goes on beautifully. The flat's really flat, and the gloss is really glossy and protects the paint really well. So I'm just picking out all the small points there, moving on to the next bits that I know will need it. So these are part of the main undercarriage bulkheads. Again, just picking it out. Once all this is done, I'll let it dry, and then I'll look at removing it with a damp cotton swab and just leaving it down to create shadows. And you can see that's what I'm after. You see I'm removing it, and I'm leaving all the dirt actually in the nooks and crannies, and it's helping to create that depth, that mucky look that I'm going for. Next up, I'm going to be looking at doing the weapons. I've decided to do it this way because sometimes when I get to doing the weapons, I sort of like, I want the build finished, so I don't put my all actually into doing the weapons. So you can see I'm just cutting them off. These are going to get glued together, and for the rest of this video, I believe it's working on the engines and the weapons. Again, these are some of the rockets. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, so I'm working on those and all the other bits and pieces, and they are the Phoenix. I didn't know they were that. Okay, so I'm not that up to speed on a lot of the weapons that modern jets use, but I suppose I should really look at going a bit more up to speed with it. So you can see I'm just clamping together and going around, gluing them, clamping, gluing, clamping, until I've got, what I require, which is a good fit. And with these two-part weapons, you can see at the back there's a seam line. So what I'm doing, I'm cutting a circle of plastic card out and basically forcing that into that area to give me a back of the, it's got no seams. I've got a pin vise, and I'm just using an old needle that I'm using to score around okay, to give me that circle, and then I'll trim it down some more, and then I will glue it in place and hopefully get a better result than what's in the kit. Once it's ready, I can then put it into the actual back end of the Phoenix. You can see in there I'm sanding it down. I'm creeping up and getting it because I want it nice and tight, because also I don't want a seam line going round the actual bit of you know, the seam that's going around it really. Don't know the best way to describe it. I'm trying to replicate this just solid piece and not two pieces joined together. So you can see there I'm just pushing it in, and now I'll run a bit of glue around it, and you know, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was. Once everything's together, it was primed with a grey aqueous primer. I think it's the 1000, the actual acrylic type, and now I am just doing some pre-shading. So I'll be doing some highlights, some lowlights, just to again add some depth to the actual weapons and all that sort of stuff. It helps build up the, you know, it looks grimy, it looks worn, it looks real at the end of the day. And I'll do this for all the weapons I've got and all that sort of stuff. So now I'm looking at the actual colours for these weapons, and as you can see, those 4 parts there, they're actually where a lot of the bombs and what have you sit underneath the actual aircraft. So they're like the pylons. Some only have the front 2, and you know, some don't have them at all. So they have got just a different lighter tone. And I'm adding that lighter tone to the pylons for the sidewinders. So they've got a slightly different tone to the rest of the aircraft and the actual pylons themselves. So again, just building it up in light coats to make sure it's nicely covered and it all looks as it should. Now with this same colour, what I'm doing, I'm adding some highlights to go underneath the paint. So you can just see I'm just randomly spraying on the drop tanks, just to, again, it's to create depth and make sure it doesn't all look the same and not monotonous, because you know, a grey, bland grey colour can really look boring. So I'm just helping to add some more depth to these parts. So now we're moving on to the main colour for all these parts, and this will be sprayed on in light coats. Again, it's going to be help to accentuate all those all that work that I've already done. So it'll be going on light coats. You can see I'm doing splotties randomly at the moment, and then I'll slowly build this colour up so it covers the whole part. Next up, decals. I really don't like doing decals on weapon sets and stuff like that. So you can see I've got Set and Sol by Micro Set Industries, some cotton board, a brush, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to cut the parts out, drop them into some water, so they're totally wet through. Okay, I'll leave them in there for 20 to 30 seconds. Take them out and put them on a clean kitchen towel. This will just wick off all the extra moisture. Get Microsoft set, put it up Microsol and Microset, so the set first on the actual parts, and then I'll just slide the decals in place when they start moving. Sometimes it'll take a while for them to move. I'm just getting rid of the end there. But you can see it's starting to come off now, so you can either peel them off or you can pull them off like I've just done. Put them into place and then move them about, so you've got your decals on there. Once they're all set, I would then put the micro sole on there, and that'll help them bed in. Next up, after we've done a gloss coat, I will then start doing the highlights, the wash, so it'll help highlight all the nooks and crannies. Okay, so I'm just using a neutral wash here. Okay, so it's just neutral brown, quite light, and into all the nooks and crannies. Once this is done, again as before, I will get my cotton buds and gently remove all of the excess wash. Now it's time to have some fun. So you can see I'm trying to show you there some of the actual tanks and what have you. They're really grimy. So I'm going to try and replicate that. As you can see there, I've just put some grime on there. Reason I'm doing that, these drop tanks would sit within a cradle when they're not on the aircraft, and those I'm assuming could get really mucky. So I've just got my wash there. I'm just dabbing it on, and then I'm going to start with a dry brush, just blending it in. So gently blending it in, either with damp brush with thinners, or with a dry brush if you want a more extreme look, just to give that look as if the actual drop tank is being used and it's filthy. Keep wiping it off so you're not spreading too much about. And you can just see I'm going back and I'm working it, dabbing it down with a stiff brush really, just to help, you know, get it really embedded in there so it looks really, really good and really grimy, because that's what I'm after. I'm using the tissue paper there just to help smudge it and blend everything in really, really nicely, to, you know, to get it all there, and so it's not too stark. Again, it just makes it look mucky. Hopefully you can see now that's looking all nice and grimy, potentially where the cradle, it would have sat in the cradle. Okay, making sure both of them are not symmetrical. Now it's to add some other dirt. So what I'm doing, I've got a brown sort of tone here, and I'm just adding a little bit of dirt in there to, you know, with my airbrush, just to say, you know, bits might have leaked, gone everywhere, and it helps add that depth again. Next up is a slightly darker tone. Okay, excuse the camera wobbling. So now I'm adding just a darker tone just in the central area of what I've already sprayed. Again, all I'm doing is adding some dirt and what have you to the actual drop tanks to make it a bit more interesting. Again, this is just my interpretation. You can do yours whichever way you want, whether it's clean, mucky, or, you know, just have fun with it. Next up, using watercolor pencils and other pencils, I'm going to be adding some scratches, some dirt, just drawing it on the actual drop tank, and then using a brush with water, and I can help dilute that, spread it, make it more of a streak like I've just done there. Okay, again, dabbing it with a tissue paper helps to blend everything in, and hopefully you end up with a nice effect. Well, I'm hoping so anyway. had a little bit of like oil staining or fuel staining, I've just got the lid, and all I'm doing, I'm just dabbing it around where I feel it would go. Get some enamel thinners and then just dabbing it in, you know, making it spread, making it a little bit thinner. Go back, add some more, and just rinse and repeat. Once that's all done, you end up with all your weapons already painted, ready to detach to your aircraft, and you don't have to then worry about it at the end of the build. So these have turned out really well. I'm really happy with it, and I can't wait to see them on the actual aircraft. So next up, engines. I've already painted them a white inside, and now I've masked all the petals off, and I'm going to attack these with a darker tone now inside the petals. Once that's done, the masking will come off, and then I'll move on to the outer part. I lost footage of doing the outer part, but you can see I sprayed a silver or a metallizing type colour, and then just added the black. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some shading, okay, and some different finishes. So in that jar there's a lot of pencil shavings. Okay, so all I'm doing with an old, well, not an old one actually, but one special makeup type of applicator, you can see I'm just using the pencil shavings to actually highlight those petals. It gives them a bit more of a sheen, and believe me, it looks a lot better in real life than it does on there. So I'm just giving them a sheen. If you go too hard with this, you can just wipe it with your finger and it wipes it off, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just trying to add a little bit more depth, a little bit more realism to the actual parts. Now this part was quite scary for me, so I'm using a clear red and a clear green. Heavily, it is a green in there, by the way, it looks yellow, but I'm actually mixing that together to try and give me like a burnt orange sort of colour. So I'm going to add this to my airbrush, and then I'm going to spray it onto the lower parts of the petals, and hopefully what I'll be adding is a little bit of a burnt sort of effect. Okay, this is just really watered, just gently put it on there, and again it's just to add a little bit of depth to the actual engines themselves. So next we need to start looking at the inside of the engines. They're already painted and had a wash in there. They're painted white, and then when we wash, I've got some oil paint in there. So it's just a smoke Abteilung oil paint with my brushes that I'm going to be using. And I'm also going to be using some charcoal, which you'll see later on. So first off, all I'm going to do is just pour it in there, and then I'm going to get a brush and I'm going to blend that in. That brush has got nothing on it, it's just a dry brush that I'm blending in to help give me that effect that the engine is actually being used. Okay, then I can go back in, start blending it in even more. Okay, I will be coming back to these in a bit, I believe, but then I'm just going to work my way around, blend it in, blend it in, blend it in, and it's going to help give me that look of filth, of burn, as flames being in there. So soot, really, because that's what it is, it's soot. So yeah, after I've been all the way around, okay, you can actually see inside that's starting to look filthy in there now. Now I'm going to get some charcoal. I'm just going to rub some charcoal in there. You don't need anything in there to actually make it stick, because it's going to stick to the wet oil paint. And again, I'm trying to just replicate that there's soot in there. You can go as heavy or as light as you want with this. I'm just doing it so, you know, it looks how I want it to look. Right, so again, you can see me there, just all smudging it about and getting it in there so it looks all worn and used. And once that's on the aircraft, okay, I think that should look really good. After this, I will then start looking at the actual nozzles themselves, and I'll be doing something similar inside there. So you can see these nozzles, okay, they're actually very similar to the inside of the engine themselves. So now I'm going to do exactly the same. I've got some smoke and some Starship filth. Starship filth is a great grey colour. So all I'm doing, I'm just putting a dot at the end of each of those white petals and then just blending it all in. And again, this is just going to help give the illusion of soot and use inside the actual nozzles themselves. So we just keep working at it and working at it and tailoring it to the way we want it to look, you know, dusty or not. If you wanted a nice clean effect, you wouldn't do this, but I want to make it look like it's been actually used. Okay, and also you can put a bit on the outside, just a tad. Okay, and then again just blend it in with your brush. Okay, blend it in. Again, you just add in that little bit of dirt and grime to the actual engine nozzles themselves. And once it's done, I hope you agree, they actually look really good. I think I've done quite a good job. And once they're on the aircraft, they'll look the part. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hi everybody, so Nige back here again with the next part of the Tomcat build. In this part we're going to be looking at putting some of the parts together and then moving on to the painting and weathering, and hopefully then we'll get to the final reveal. So this kit, it's Tamiya, okay, it goes together supremely well, and you can just see me there. I'm just using some of the thick resin type glue to just fix it in place in the tabs, and then I'm using the Tamiya extra thin just to run it around all the joins and to get it in there. And you can see it just goes to go really nice. I'm just doing the same on the other side, and then you can see me, I'll start working around the seam line with the extra thin just to get it all joined together. And in no time we're all together. If you can see, the main fuselage is together, everything's dried. Again, there's no point in me showing you any of this because it's just Tamiya. There was no fit issues for me to go over, nothing for me to try and put right or anything like that. It just went together, okay? If you get this kit, you're going to really enjoy it, because I did. Now we're moving on to the painting. And here I am just painting the tail fins. Now they're both black, but I never paint a solid black. A different shades of black. I know you can say, well, they're different shades of black, but so this is the rubber black, so it's a slightly grayer type black, and I'm just putting it on nice and gently after I've painted the tips of the horizontal stabilizers and the ventral fins. Again, I'm just painting them with the same colour. So once I've done this, I can then look at start weathering the actual horizontal stabilizers themselves. Once that's all done, I'll then use some NATO black, and I'm going to be basically lightening up parts of the panel, doing streaks and all that sort of stuff. Basically, this is where I'm starting my weathering now. If I was doing the old aircraft black, this is exactly what I would do on the panel lines. You can see it on there that it's going to be slightly worn, lighter in the centre, streaks and all that sort of stuff. It's just to add a little bit of interest, which is on quite a black canvas, so to speak. And there you can see the finished tail fin. I've also done the spine of the actual aircraft. I'm going to mask this up now. Okay, so that'll all help with the weathering. And then I'm moving on to actually adding some of the markings. Now I couldn't add all the markings because obviously some cutters, they don't cut that small. But you can just see here, I am taking the navy stencil off. I've already put a bit of the masking on there already. Now the way I do it, I put a bit of tape over the top of said mast, peel that up, put it onto the aircraft, and then if you watch, peel that back, that's left the navy lettering all there ready to be painted over. And that's how I do it with all my masts that I use. It's how I apply them all, to get them all straight, all in line and all that sort of stuff. So doing it that way, I find it just so much easier than try and do individual ones. Now some more pre-shading. So as you can see, the aircraft is black, but not, you know, totally black, and I'm pouring a lighter coat. This could be white, this could be a light grey, a cream, whatever you want in those panel lines to give me the variation I require with this aircraft. You know, it's quite a big aircraft with really big flat surfaces. So hopefully after all the paint's been applied, or the top coats and what have you, you'll be able to see the different variations, and it adds a little bit of interest. And there it is, all done. So you just see I've just done a marbling effect all over, and next we're going to be doing a blue marbling over certain parts of it. And again, this is to break up this marbling that's already on there and to give me, you know, a better variation in that pre-coat, you know, the pre-shading that I'm doing on the actual aircraft, which hopefully will show through the solid parts of the paint itself. Once that's done, it's time to actually paint the base colour. So we're starting on the belly, and all I do is just apply really thin layers of paint over that pre-shading there, just building it up. So I don't cover it all up, but I do cover some of it up. I was having problems with my airbrush there, so I had to stop and start again. But you can see how it's just going on, and I'm building up the layers. Not heavy, but nice, soft, and yeah, just going from there really. And once done, you'll end up with something like that. Okay, lots of modulation over there. Before we then move on to doing exactly the same for the forward fuselage. So this aircraft has a free tone colour, and I'm doing exactly the same as what I did on the belly. A lighter coat, then a blue coat, and then the base coat, just to give me that different variation in colours over the actual aircraft. And once that's done, I'll do exactly the same on the top side of the aircraft. So again, I then move on to doing the blue coat on this. Again, filling out all those bits and pieces, like I already did before, central panel lines and what have you, just to build it all up and build up different tones within the paint. And then over that we do the top coats. So again, nice thin coats over the top of it, just filling in where I need to, and then just going from there. And once that's done, again we move on to doing the lighter coats, as you can see there, onto the blue coats, and then from the blue coat we'll be going on to the actual main camouflage colour for up there. Okay, and that's all it is, exactly the same process all the way through until the aircraft is all painted. And there we are, you can see it all painted now with the top coat, with all the masking removed, the leading edges of the wings all painted the silver, and yeah, I think it's turned out rather nice. And there's the shark mouth on the front. Again, that's a mask that I applied. So now I'm going to start with the weathering, and starting by just painting a lighter coat on some of the panel lines, because you will see this like bleaching on some of the panel lines all over the aircraft. And I'm just doing it where I want, just randomly dotting it about and what have you. So you can just see me there, and I will build this up really slowly, not too heavy, not too uniform, just really randomly until I get it the way I want it. So apologies, I've lost a bit where I was applying this panel line wash, but it's just a MIG dark wash that just goes into all seam lines, and now you can just see me removing it. The aircraft has had a gloss coat for me then to put the decals on, and then a gloss coat on top of that before then I've put this wash on, and as you can see I'm just trying removing it. I've got rid of most of it, I don't want too much on there, so what I normally do is onto a cotton swab and then onto the kitchen towel just to wipe it all off, and try and wipe it all off in the direction of travel of air. Okay, so that will give you a little bit of muck. Talking of muck, start to add some of the dirt deposits that are all over the aircraft, and all I'm doing this is just an oil paint, starts its filth in this instance, with a little bit of thinnering, and then just dabbing it all over the place with different brushes, just blending it in until I get the look I'm after. bear in mind this aircraft could get absolutely filthy, and I've got plenty of photos of this, not this aircraft itself, but of the aircraft in general, and some of them are absolutely filthy, and I mean filthy. As you can see, I've just put some thinner in there. Okay, that's just a different oil paint, and now I'm going to add this to it, and again I'm just going to blend it all in to give me some filth all over the place. And then you can see the look I'm going after. You see how it's all filthy all over. Okay, and again, this is what the actual aircraft really did get like, and you know, it's what it really looked like. Now I'm going to add some more weathering to the airbags behind the wings, and all I'm just using is watercolor pencils and then blending them in as best I can to give the indication that, you know, the airbags have been scratched and all that sort of stuff. And there she is, all finished. A really enjoyable build. Tamiya, so it's straightforward. So this was just a practice on doing some different weathering techniques, which then I can take into my next build and maybe do something even filthier. Anyway, that's it for now, fellas. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.